In this WrestleTalk news, Ronda Rousey cautioned backstage following her return promo. The WWE locker room is upset about the treatment of one particular wrestler, Ollie's review of last night's Raw, and more. There's so many ways you can acknowledge your tribal Pete. You could follow me on Twitter, you could tell me how great I am in the comments, but most importantly, you can subscribe and enable notifications to Always On for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Since returning at the Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey hasn't exactly been the most popular of people in the wrestling fandom. With the 1-2 punch of her and Brock Lesnar winning both Royal Rumble matches and her setting up a match with Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania instead of Becky Lynch, which is what fans actually wanted, her return hasn't exactly been smooth sailing thus far. And you might be forgiven for thinking this, but apparently she's supposed to be a babyface in her feud with Flair. I know, I was surprised too. The main reason for the confusion though is because on her return promo on Raw last week, she essentially said all the fans suck and they're all stupid and she hates them. Alright, maybe not quite as harsh as that, but she wasn't exactly complimentary of the fan base because they booed her the last time she was there. What a babyface. As it turns out, the promo wasn't just negatively received by fans, but also backstage too, as according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, Rousey was cautioned backstage about her attitude, saying it was explained that you have to let the fans turning on you go. If you're going to be bitter about that, you're not going to be a very good babyface. Wait, really? Coming across as bitter, unrelatable, inherently unlikable makes you a bad babyface? I can't believe it. On a Facebook gaming stream, glad that she still gets to do that while other wrestlers can't, Ronda mentioned it's hard not to take it personally from fans, which seems to be the issue that's gotten her in a spot of trouble in the first place. Someone who maybe should take it personally a bit more is Big E, who, can you believe it, just over a month ago was still WWE champion. You wouldn't know that though, looking at the product in recent weeks, being unceremoniously dumped out of the Rumble match without eliminating anyone, and being moved to SmackDown with no explanation and tagging with Kofi Kingston again. According to Wade Keller of PW Torch, it's exactly this treatment that has upset a number of wrestlers backstage, who mentioned that they weren't aware of any issue with him that would have called for him having the rug pulled out from under him like this. One person described him as a magnificent human being who doesn't deserve this treatment. Especially after Kofi, I don't know what we expected, but for some reason, we all held out hope, didn't we? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me again for still believing this company could treat their wrestlers correctly. And speaking of treating wrestlers correctly, Shane McMahon sure wanted a bit more of the spotlight than he's worth, didn't he? After his attitude at the Royal Rumble reportedly being the reason he was let go from WWE, more details have come to light, some of which Luke covered in yesterday's news video where he wanted to outstrike former UFC fighter Matt Riddle. According to a new report from Dave Meltzer on Sunday night's Main Event podcast, Shane's whole attitude and problems began when Vince McMahon pulled Seth Rollins from the Royal Rumble, as Shane was scheduled to interact with Seth to set up their WrestleMania program. Instead, the two were then reportedly scheduled to face off inside the Elimination Chamber, but due to Shane instead deciding the Rumble was now all about him and being fired by his own dad, he was then replaced in the chamber by Austin Theory. And now, hot tag to Ollie.
Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's sponsor. Shadow Legends! The dark fantasy RPG which you can get a huge starter pack for by downloading Raid to your mobile phone or PC for free using my links below. When I was young, I wanted to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch Pokemon was my only test, to train them was my cause, Pokemon. But since then, nothing's really scratched that collecting itch for me. Not even Pokemon. Until now with Raid. Thanks to its roster of over 600 champions to collect and upgrade to save the world of Teleria. And recapturing the feel of opening up my Pokemon card packs, you can unlock new champions in Raid using shards in the portal. Let's see what wonders my shards unleash. Let's crack open a few of these blue ancient ones. I got this Judge dude, a Bombardier guy, that's more like it, the Marquess, or as I call her, Charlotte Flair's next WrestleMania entrance outfit. Let's see what the Purple Void Shard summons me. Harrier Styles! Oh my god, I love watermelon sugar! And finally the Sacred Shard, which gets the most epic and legendary of champions, Atur, aka this is Sparta Triple H. And remember, even if you get champions that don't fit your team, they aren't a waste, as you can sacrifice them to level up your best ones. Eat them all, Harry Styles! Eat them all! Oh, and you'll need the strongest champions you can muster to take on the newest challenge in Raid, the Super Boss, the Hydra, in a new fresh rotation. There's also a ton of events and tournaments every single day, including special Valentine's Day events, where you can get a brand new legendary champion. Give it to your loved one. I don't know if that's a good Valentine's Day present. It's a great time to get started in Raid, so download and play the game using our links in the video description below, or simply scan the QR code on screen now to get a huge starter pack including 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, an ancient shard, and the free epic champion Vergus. All this treasure will be waiting for new players here for the next 30 days. Raid helps support us here at WrestleTalk an incredible amount, so please at least click the link to give the game a go, as it really helps the channel. Support WrestleTalk and raid that raid. And now it's time for my review of last night's Raw in about 5 minutes. It's already the go home show for Elimination Chamber, which feels like it's got a bit lost this week with the biggest event of the year going on. No, not the road to WrestleMania. No, not the series encore of Resident Alien. I'm talking about the Winter Olympics, which bumped this week's episode of Raw to the Sci-Fi Channel, which will likely result in the show's lowest viewership ever. Now, you've got two options here. Put on a huge show to give the luge, or gun skiing, or whatever it is on the highlights on the USA Network, some real competition, and reward those who tuned into Raw anyway. Or phone it in with an episode of hardly any consequence. Guess which one WWE chose? Thankfully, the show started off great with the third and final round of the Alpha Academy vs RK Bro Academic Challenge, the Quiz Bowl. This was another home run of a segment, helped by Randy Orton actually being there unlike last week. Chad Gable was again the comedic standout, with the writing using the Are You Smarter Than a 10-Year-Old format really well. Otis got his one answer right this time, choosing C for Texas. Well done, Otis. You didn't spell C wrong. He kept shouting ham when he saw Hamlet as an option for the Shakespeare question, and Orton got loads of cheers for enter your local sports team here references. It all came down to a question on metric conversions, which, if you weren't aware, is a drugs reference. But it wasn't Riddle who answered. Randy stepped forward saying, "I'm not the only one who bakes," which was a line botch, but I don't mind, I get where he's going. RK Bro won, meaning they'll get a title shot soon, while Chad Gable sold the sound of the buzzer like he was being beaten down with a steel chair. The Street Profits challenged Alpha Academy for a match afterwards. Despite the emotional turmoil of what they'd just been through, Gable neatly pinned Angelo Dawkins off an ankle lock reversal, giving him and Otis momentum heading into their RK Bro match. RK Bro's momentum, meanwhile, will be in the form of an RK Broga party next week. Orton's gonna wear a toga. Unfortunately, the episode didn't really pick up again until the main event. Bobby Lashley struggled to cut an engaging promo on Brock Lesnar, even though he was playing up being in his hometown for this episode. AJ Styles beat Damian Priest in a very well-worked match. The crowd never really got into it. It was an odd match to book too, with Priest being US champion and AJ part of the chamber match. You didn't want to beat either guy, which historically means DQ cop-out finish for WWE, and specifically Priest's character. But weirdly, AJ beat Priest very clean in the last week after being heavily protected for the better part of a year. Priest looked like a jabroni for Amos in the Rumble match, wasn't on Raw last week, and got beaten clean here. They later announced AJ versus Priest for the US title next week, where I kind of think we could see a title change. Thanks for your support on Patreon, Superkick, Nick Mazesko, and Double L, Liam Leonard. You too can get your own shout out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk. On Miz TV, we had Miz and Maurice on one side, and Rey and Dominic Mysterio on the other. These mixed tags are getting out of hand. This is much more Miz's level. His narcissism making him target Rey for getting to be on the front cover of 2K22. He cut a very good promo with the money line, "Dom is a lot taller than Rey. Are you sure you're not Eddie's son?" Dom stepped up and then beat Miz thanks to some babyface revenge. This is a fine mid-card story. It's our weekly Bianca Belair beating a recent participant in the Women's Tag Team Championship picture in 3 minutes match. She beat Nikki ASH this time. Dana Brooke and Reggie have started a will they, won't they romance story, which is genuinely hard to predict when there's this little sexual chemistry between them. Kevin Owens put on another very good TV match with Austin Theory, avenging his loss from last week and winning with a stunner. Unfortunately, it derails Theory's momentum heading into the chamber with the anti-push of 50-50 booking. Owens asked definitely not Raw general managers Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville to be put in the chamber because he won this week, and because the people of Texas need him for WrestleMania, which kinda maybe potentially felt like it could be a joke about Shane McMahon's backstage behavior at the Rumble, trying to change everything so he could set up his WrestleMania program. Whatever it was, it set up the main event angle later. Becky Lynch added a really cool psychological angle to her feud with Lita, saying how hurtful it is for your hero to try to take everything you fought for away from you and a kill your idols narrative. They brawled and Lita stood tall. Liv Morgan and Doudrop had really good small versus big chemistry in their match, which Doudrop won heading into the chamber. The Alexa Bliss segments are still going on and are totally uninteresting, and the main event was supposed to be Riddle versus Seth Rollins to build the chamber match, but KO attacked Riddle for the DQ, prompting the dream RK Bro versus Seth and KO feud I was fantasy booking just last month. Orton's hot tag was the biggest reaction on the whole show, but Seth stomped Riddle to win. In a fun continuation of their relationship, Seth just walked off laughing after Orton RKO'd Owens in the post-match. What did you think of Raw? Let me know in the comments. 61% of you voted for Veer isn't even on Sci-Fi, and our poll on a poll match on the community tab. That a months-old joke won the poll shows just how missable this show was. Apart from the academic challenge finale, this episode felt completely skippable, which means this week's Raw is 45%. Now watch Adam Blompier's 10 biggest cancelled WrestleMania plans.
As we prepare ourselves for a deluge of reports about plans coming into place, those plans being scrapped, new plans coming into place, and those plans being jettisoned into space, let's look at some of the biggest matches proposed for the show of shows that never ended up hitting our screens, for worse, or in some cases, for much, much better. I'm Adam, hailing from Parts of Unknown, and here are 10 biggest cancelled WrestleMania matches.